My name is Sunthar Premakumar. I am the lead product designer at Piazza, and I also do a lot of front-end development work here. I've been with the company for about 3 years. I was the third employee to join, and my path to Piazza has been a non-traditional one. I studied mechanical engineering at Stanford, then did my master's in robotics, and worked for a medical devices company as a mechanical engineer for about a year before founding a company pretty similar to Piazza, which was also a Q&A platform, with a friend of mine. We tried that out for a few months. It wasn't going too far, so I was looking around for other companies that do something similar, found Piazza, and Piazza was kind of in the starting point, but they were already doing pretty well at Stanford and Berkeley and some of the other Ivy League schools. So I reached out to our CEO, sent her a cold Facebook message saying, I love what you guys are doing, would love to be part of it. And then I happened to come to California for about a week, so chatted with her, got an offer, then moved my entire life over to California, and I've been here since, and it's been great.
Great, thanks, Sundar. And my name is Akhila, and Jeff, really glad to be here, especially speak to, speaking about untraditional paths. Similarly, I was a finance and politics major at the University of Maryland, College Park. And then while studying in the business school, I learned about different opportunities in the tech industry, which was pretty unheard of in 2009 on my campus. So I began my venture into the Valley by interning at Google for 2 summers, first in the Washington, D.C. office, started working on public policy, and then second at their Mountain View campus, working in people operations. And that summer was the first time I was exposed to a large intern class composed of students from campuses around the country, and I was so shocked and inspired by the ambition and intellect that was in this place that I knew I had to come out here after graduation. So I spent 2 years full-time at Google, and had a great experience. But working at a big company, I found challenges around being able to iterate quickly and make an impact on users as soon as possible, and work on projects I was truly passionate about. So I had actually known Sundar for several years at that point, and he approached me with this opportunity to work in a business operations role with Piazza Careers. And the job description was vague. He basically told me, our CEO, Pooja, is really excited about Piazza Careers and needs support on the business operations side. Would you be excited? And I said, yes, I'll do whatever. So in the last year and a half that I've been here, I feel like I've grown mentally, emotionally, intellectually almost 10x than I ever have in my life. And joining a company while I was still young, small, and working on some of the hardest problems right now in the Bay Area is very phenomenal experience. And so at Piazza, your day-to-day is never the same. One idea that is inspiring to us can change our world, and we'll try it out and see how it goes. So really excited to be here and tell you more.
Yeah, no, I think you guys bring a great kind of combination of what you can do you guys got a lot of tech going on to keep Piazza going. So we have the engineering point of view, and then we have kind of the more liberal arts or non-tech point of view, and just how important both are, which speaks to Stanford and the students that are here. So how about, can one of you guys give kind of the pitch? What is Piazza?
Sure. So I'm guessing a lot of you guys have come across Piazza while you were at Stanford. But let me do a quick screen share to give a short demo of our product. Okay. All right. I'm not sure if you guys can see my screen right now. But Piazza is a Q&A platform where students and professors can communicate with each other online and get their questions answered. So typically a student, if they have a question related to their classwork, they would ask it online, and then whoever is available at that given moment, whether it's a professor, a TA, or a fellow classmate, they could jump in and answer the question. And the nice thing about this is that a question that one student has would be shared amongst a lot of other students, and the answer would benefit the entire class. And also, a lot of the times, as a student, you're not waiting around for your professor to get to the answer. You can get quick answers from your friends that'll get you unstuck when you're working on homeworks or studying for exams. So this is sort of the interface we have for Piazza Q&A, where you have for your class a list of questions, and when you click on a question, you'll see what the question is and some of the answers and follow-up discussions. So this is like a question, and you have like a student's answer and an instructor answer. So this is sort of like the overview for Piazza Q&A. As Akhila mentioned, we recently started Piazza Careers, which is a careers platform for students to discover exciting new opportunities in the tech world. Piazza Careers is fairly new, and our long-term vision is to introduce students to an entire world of opportunities that they otherwise wouldn't have heard of, and find the right opportunity that fits their skill set, their interests, and their location preferences or company size preferences and so on. So right now we have over 50 companies on Piazza Careers, and these are some of the companies that we have so far. And the hope is that students can learn about some of these companies by clicking into them. So Airbnb is a company that most of you guys would have heard of or used, and we have a pretty rich profile about them with some key details as well as more informed culture related articles or what recruiters say, some resume tips, as well as learning from engineers who already work there about how it is to be at Airbnb. Besides just having company profiles, we also have...
Hey, Sunthar.
Yeah.
Question. So if I'm a student that has totally interacted with Piazza in a more Q&A way, can you actually show, like, how do I access the recruiting side?
Of course. So at this top bar, if you see, there is your normal Q&A tab, but on the right-hand corner, you will have a few icons and a link for Piazza Careers. If you click on the Piazza Careers link, it'll take you to this careers interface where you can explore companies, check out events, update your profile, see your messages, and so on. This icon for events also takes you to your events page and messages. So that's sort of the interface into Piazza Careers.
And it seems like there's a, to make this really take off and be useful to a student, there's kind of an opt-in piece to this, right?
Yeah, so when you sign up for Piazza Q&A, we take you through your account setup process, and during that time, you have the chance to opt in or opt out of Piazza Careers. And in that flow itself, you can do a lot of things like setting your preferences. You can say when you're going to graduate, what you're looking for, and also put in your resume there.
If I understand the numbers kind of right, I think there's around 9,000 students at Stanford that are on Piazza Q&A.
Yeah.
And not enough, it seems like, are actually utilizing the opt-in career side. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so I think most of the students are opted in during the process of signing up, but I don't think a lot of students have discovered the career side by going to this link because it's sort of hidden, and a lot of students come to Piazza to get their questions answered, so they don't look anywhere else outside of this Q&A tab or the resources tab. So I would highly encourage everyone to go check out Piazza Careers because I know when I was in college, I had access to a few companies that come on campus. At Stanford, you are a little bit more lucky than other colleges where tons of these tech companies are in the valley, and then it's much easier for them to come on campus and recruit. But for the most part, you don't hear about some of these companies that are somewhat smaller but are doing really cool things and changing the world. But Piazza Careers lets you check these companies out and learn more about them by sitting in front of a computer instead of having to do searches on your own or go to events or go to career fairs and discover these companies.
All right, Sunthar, it's time to toot the Piazza horn a little bit. So Can you show us a little bit about like what companies are on there? So if I'm a student and I'm like, well, this sounds kind of cool, but I kind of have certain brand name or certain type of companies, brand or not. Well, what kind of companies are on there?
Sure. So the initial set of companies that we led on Piazza Careers, we were pretty selective. We wanted to have a wide variety in terms of size, in terms of what field they're in. So say you're a student, you're really interested in music, right? You have the options of like say Spotify, some of these companies that have some element of music in there. Or if you're a company that's interested in, say, big data, we have companies like RelateIQ, Palantir, um, and Telepart. And for whether you're into like consumer products like Yelp or Square or Zappos, or whether you're more into like um, B2B facing companies like Spire or Safe Science or Polywar, there is a company for anyone who is interested in tech. So this company list is going to grow continuously as we sign on more companies. But right now we have over 50 companies on there.
Great. And I'll just say the Career Development Center here at Stanford is kind of undergoing a bit of a cultural revolution in trying to really improve how someone gets a job and making that a better thing, a better process for Stanford students. And I would just really encourage students to see this as an incredible tool for you guys. Piazza is awesome. All right, keep going.
Yeah, so this is the company list, and I showed you a glimpse of what the company profile looks like. I can probably give you a bit more in-depth tour here. You could follow a company. Following a company means you'll get more updates from these companies. If they have events coming up or if they have messages, they'll reach out to you. The nice thing about this page relative to other just job sites is that we give you a better understanding of what it is to be within the company. So you have photos, you can see what the culture is like, you can read about what the culture is like, you can see more videos about the company, so you get a more personalized insight into a company. Also, there is a lot of important information around recruiting, because a lot of the times you know about a company, but you don't know what do they look for, how do I tweak my resume, what does the interview process look like, and each of these things vary from company to company, so we have information for students right from the company itself so that they can prepare themselves better to get an interview at those companies. For me personally, I really like this employee experiences section where you get to hear from students who, similar to you, who were in your spot maybe a year or two ago, and now they have crossed over to the other side, and you can get their insight as to what should I have done when I was a freshman or sophomore, or how should I have approached internships, and how they impact your career outside of school, and what sort of classes were pretty fun, what sort of classes should you take to have a higher chance in getting a job at this particular company. So there are a bunch of different questions that we've asked these engineers at the companies, and we show it to students so that they can learn and better prepare for a career in that field. We also have more information about their product, a bunch of videos. We have like news articles and some Quora questions and answers, so that the student who's looking at a company is not just looking at their size and location, but they get like a better idea for what the companies are. Another really good part, I actually don't have any events this week, but we share all the events that a company is going to have on your campus so that you can actually attend these events, talk to real engineers from those companies, and get to know about those companies a lot better.
Is that relative? Is that like specific to? I'm a Stanford student. These
Yes.
are Stanford events.
Yeah. So if you're a Stanford student, you'll see Stanford events, or if there's an event hosted close to you, say like some company would have an event at a restaurant in Palo Alto, so those events you'll get to see as well.
What kinds of roles are companies mostly looking to hire for? You mentioned engineers. What
It
kind of,
varies a lot. A lot of the companies we have are tech companies, so they are looking for engineers. They are looking for data scientists, product people, as well as a fair amount of non-technical roles. A role similar to what Akhila plays, where it's like a business analyst, business development, customer success type roles, um, for which companies do recruit engineers or even non-engineers who have a passion for tech.
I bet some students are kind of curious, like a lot of their coursework is tied to Piazza. So
Mhm.
now we're kind of crossing the line to recruiters. So how much as a student of my information is available to a recruiter?
Yeah, at Piazza, we are very protective of our students and their data. So we don't share any data that they don't specifically say that they can share. So, for example, all the information regarding their classwork, we do not share with companies. So the questions they ask, the answers they give, the follow-up questions, none of that is shared. The only thing that the employers can see is their name, what school that they went to, and whatever classes they've taken. And there are a lot of stuffs in the profile, which is what I was going to show next. These are self-reported information from the student's point of view. So this is some stuff that the companies can see.
So I've had some students ask me, so how is this different from like LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we have a lot of commonalities with LinkedIn, and the one thing that we've heard employers say that they care about the most is what classes have you taken, what classes have you TA'd, a lot of information regarding just like their class affiliations, and that is something that unless you actively fill out on LinkedIn, that employers don't have access to. Whereas in Piazza, you're not just listing out a random set of classes, you have actually enrolled in these classes on Piazza, meaning you're part of an actual class. So this information is a lot more valuable for companies who would do a search saying, I want to find students who have taken advanced algorithms at Stanford or at Stanford and Berkeley, or just, I want students who have taken Java. And we have this information on students that companies are really excited about.
And
Um,
and to add to what Sunthar said, Jeff, one other difference is that this is a platform, and with that students first principle in mind, that students are already using for a couple hours a night for their homework, and so we really want to help them from that journey through their college career of learning into their career path as well, and so making that a seamless transition as possible, and for them to observe that knowledge while they're already working on their homework and discussion and other problems.
So I can imagine that some students are kind of getting reached out to more by recruiters than others, maybe a power user of some kind. What can a student do to make sure I'm really standing out to a recruiter on here?
Yeah, so one thing we tell students a lot is, try to make your profile as complete as possible. So a lot of the times, the reason certain students show up higher on results is because they have most of their fields filled out, and there's some match somewhere in their profile to that search. So whether like having a very complete resume, or filling out what skills you have, or when you're looking to graduate, things like that, that companies care about, because a lot of the times they want to make sure they're not reaching out to students who have either already accepted a job or not graduating, or they don't really know what year they are. So certain information that's pretty basic, what students can easily fill out, that will make a big difference. On the second end, you want to make sure your resume is current, and is pretty rich, and we have some resume tips around there, like how can you make your resume stand out, because the search also works on the resume, and if you have certain keywords, that gets picked up by companies when they're doing searches.
And something that students don't typically find is really important to recruiters is their personal projects or side projects that they're working on. And we have a section on our profile where you can fill that out separately, and those are also keyword searchable by companies. And companies really, really value students who are working on computer science problems on their own and not just for academia, because this shows like an innate curiosity to really learn and expand your knowledge base a bit. And so filling out your personal projects is really, really important.
So I hear a lot from students that I'm busy, right? I'm busy, man, like I just don't, when do I have time for this career stuff? So have you seen like peaks, valleys in when recruiters are more active on Piazza so that students know, all right, this is when I need to be on there, showed up, ready to go?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think peaks always go by career fair season, so you can kind of think about that. I would say January through end of March is one huge season, and then definitely the beginning of the fall, August through the end of October, early November is when they're trying to fill their intern spots for the next year and full-time positions for the next year. So those are heavy recruiting seasons. What we really encourage our companies to do is to be sourcing year-round and start building those relationships, because you know, an internship or a full-time position is not just a data point for them. It's more of like, you know, can I see this person grow from freshman through senior year? And even, you know, if you don't end up having this internship this summer, maybe a couple years down the line.
Yeah, so I feel like we've got a full breadth of the career piece to Piazza. Any other items that maybe students should know before we transition to what you guys hire for?
Sure. So the one last thing is messages. So as I said, like companies are constantly searching and messaging students, and a lot of students don't know that they are getting messages, and the messages usually live here in Piazza. I actually don't have any messages because I'm not a student, but they would be getting a lot of messages from companies, and this is, you know, like for the lazy students.
At least we know you're not looking for a job right now. It's good.
Yeah, I'll make a note. But the good news is, like for the students who are like lazy and or don't want to worry about careers until a certain point, you know, they'll be getting messages all year round. So this is, you know, inbound interest from companies, and that reduces the amount of work that the student has to do, so they can just respond to these messages and, you know, have conversations with recruiters who reach out to them, and that is a much stronger signal than having to send out applications and not know if they're gonna, either the application is going to be seen or if they're going to get a response for that application. So that's one thing I would encourage a lot of students to do, is just go check out the messages tab on Piazza Careers to make sure they're not ignoring any inbound messages from companies.
One other thing I'd like to add, Jeff, is that the biggest piece of feedback we've gotten from students this year is just that they'd like to see more companies on the platform, and we're working towards increasing that number. But if any student has recommendations on who they'd like to see, we'd love to hear that. Of course, we prefer to add companies that our students really appreciated interning or working at. So, you know, suggestions or referrals would be really, really appreciated.
What's the best way to share that with you all to reach out?
They can email us directly. So Akhila@piazza.com or Sunthar@piazza.com. We're on the team page, so feel free to reach out to us at any time.
Great. And I just want to add there for students, I think there's kind of a one-way approach often to applying for jobs, and that's me handing my resume off at a career fair, me applying online. Just want to open up the thought that there's this thing called passive candidates that recruiters really it's so important. And a passive candidate basically is someone that's not applying to them, someone that is a strong coder for instance for computer science companies, tech companies. But I'm Google and this person's not applying to me. I want to reach out to them. That's what Piazza is. It's a tremendous tool for companies. If you're not on there as a student, then you're not even available to be reached out to. So you want to get on there.
Yeah, as a quick anecdote, we actually closed a candidate yesterday who I found on Piazza Careers, is an English major at Cornell, taking a ton of computer science classes on Piazza. He was thinking of going to grad school right after, found out about this opportunity, flew out and met the team, and we were both so excited about him that he signed his offer letter yesterday. So it's just that, us being proactive, but him being proactive at the same time, that really helped facilitate that connection. We're so excited about him. So
awesome. Anything else on the careers?
No, I mean, just that it's like a great opportunity for students to learn about companies and find a career that they really care about and enjoy. And to add to that, I think like the settings tab over here lets you control what you could do and what companies can see. So, there's nothing to be scared of. There is no data that's being sold or anything. All you can do is, find a great opportunity as a next step after college.
All right, awesome. So what if a student thinks what you guys are doing is so awesome that they actually might want to be a part of your team?
Yeah, great question. So at Piazza, we're always looking for smart, excited, passionate people, constantly creative, entrepreneurial, and really flexible, kind of ready to fail fast and learn quickly. The pace at which we work is unmatched to any environment I've ever been in, and most people do say that. At the same time, we're a very work hard, play hard type environment. So we'll play Frisbee every week and get breakfast together and go paintball and watch movies. And we're a small team. We're probably smaller than you may think. We're only 25 people, and our engineering team is 5. So we're growing this year and really excited to meet young minds like yourself. So if you're interested, hopefully about our mission, Q&A and careers, excited to take on challenges and kind of so reciprocative to feedback. And then, of course, play Ultimate Frisbee. We would love to talk to you, even if you'd want to come by casually and just meet the team or have lunch with us. It's for us a great opportunity not to just learn more about you, but understand, what we could do to make the product better. So as much feedback you can give to us as well is always appreciated. So you can email either Akhila@piazza.com or Sunthar@piazza.com if you're interested. We are looking for a few more engineers on the team this year, as well as a couple business operations roles, which involve customer success and making the companies on the platform. Really excited about leveraging the platform.
So are those going to be more full-time opportunities or intern?
So we have 2 spots for interns left this year for this upcoming summer. So excited to fill those as soon as possible. And then by the end of the year, looking for 2 to 3 more engineers.
Okay.
So these individuals are probably, full stack generalists, which you may have heard before, but we're at a point where we just need people to jump into any problem that we're trying to solve, and our team just in general is just very flexible. So if you have specific questions, we can connect you with our head of engineering, and he'd be excited to tell you more.
So I was reading an article by your CEO, and she was kind of talking about advice for folks that were kind of in the early parts of their career. And one of her tips was work in an entrepreneurial place. And I feel like as a startup, you guys definitely are that. Can you talk about maybe some pros, great things about that, and maybe some like, hey, these are some things you might want to be aware of this life?
I can talk to that from like an engineering point of view. I think a lot of the engineering roles that you might find out there, you get a project handed to you and your head's down just coding. Whereas at Piazza, I think engineers also get to contribute to the vision of the product. They get to push back in what they think doesn't fit really well, or if you need to get something built pretty fast, they would give you feedback on saying, if you do it this way, we can get it done in a couple of days, or the second way would take like a month. And so the nice thing there is that everyone on the engineering team gets a better understanding of how product development works, from looking at the design kind of go from nothing to what the product is going to end up being, as well as taking on like the architecture or what the engineering side of it is going to be, so they get a pretty well-rounded understanding of how product development works and not just get pigeonholed into their small layer of being an engineer.
Repeat. Anything that's hard about kind of being in a startup, about maybe that lifestyle that students should know, even though there's a lot of great things to it?
Yeah, so what goes hand in hand with that is when you're taking on sort of everything related to that project, you're going to have to get it done, and that sometimes would cut into your social time. You might have to come in early sometimes, work a little late sometimes. Again, I think that sort of lifestyle is part of certain people's personalities where they really enjoy it. So for me in particular, I don't mind working late at nights or working early or working, some like a rare weekend here and there, because that's pretty fulfilling to me. I enjoy being able to build something all by myself and send it out to the production website where it's seen by millions of people. So that's just my personality, and I think a lot of the engineers here feel the same way, where they just enjoy building so much they don't mind it cutting into what otherwise could be your fun time.
Yeah, to add to that, I'd say one of the biggest differences for me from working at a company like Google to Piazza to 25 people is that at Google, if I didn't know the answer to a problem, someone at the company would know, and I could always ask, and that was encouraged because, those are the subject matter experts. At Piazza, if we don't know the answer to a problem, you figure it out. And I think that kind of just really stimulates your brain and makes you use your resources very effectively, and in that sense you become very entrepreneurial to figure out how you can tackle this challenge, and you get really scrappy. And I think having that approach is just useful for a lot of other aspects of your life as well.
Awesome. So it seems like you guys got some really boring job descriptions. That's something I wanted to ask about. I mean, I was looking through the website and saw you're a busy bee, Bollywood designer. That's who we have on today. The Chuck Norris of ops. That sounds really boring. The Den Mother, the Jill of all trades. So how does that work? How do you get a job description like those?
Well, logistically, you can interview with us, but culturally, we're just like a super, fun team. I think you kind of lose your ego at the door, and you're ready to get picked on as soon as you walked in. And we really try to kind of encourage each other's interests to come into our environment as well, and support each other, whether you're into music or into sports or you're in a play. It's kind of like there is no work-life balance because this is work and life. So we're like 25 people who are just really strong, like friends with each other, whether it's working out with each other or eating with each other or going to each other's weddings, for example. So it's like that. Those names and that culture will just come up really, really like easily, fluidly.
Great. So I guess as we close up here, so if a student wants to apply, just so it's real kind of point blank, where should they go to if they want to work at Piazza?
So they can go, they can email jobs@piazza.com, or of course reach out directly to me. I mean, jobs@piazza.com is not a black hole. Our CEO and our head of engineering are on the alias, and we look at every single application. If you want to learn more about us, you can go to our team page and kind of read some of those exciting bios that Jeff was talking about.
Awesome. So I guess we'll close there. I really want to thank both of you for coming on today. The first edition of Unplugged at Stanford. I think students are really going to see how not only can they get a job through Piazza, but that they could also get a real cool job at Piazza, which is great. So thank you very much for coming on. I guess we'll see you all next time.